Hey guys, looks like we're live. We're gonna give it a few minutes and see if anybody's coming on here. I'm having a little hard time seeing the stuff. I'm having to do this from my phone this time. If you can hear me okay, just let me know, because I am actually on the road. I'm traveling to Henry River Mill Village this weekend, and so I wanted to go ahead, and since we had such a good episode this week, wanted to go ahead, hop on here, and awesome. Okay, I can see we got some people on here. It says you can hear me. So, hey Alexander, Janet, Chris, I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode. It was such a fun episode to do, and we are actually, I'm going to take these off since I'm not talking to anybody. I don't know if you can you still hear me okay? As I was using that as a microphone. But I am actually in Northeast Tennessee on my way to North Carolina, and I have a special guest that I'm going to bring on. And I'm having to do it from my phone because Facebook doesn't allow you to bring people on. So let me see if I can bring, well, I am not, I was going to bring Dr. Sumner on here with me since she did this investigation, and for some reason it is not allowing me to pull her online. I'm not really sure why that is doing that. If you'll just bear with me just a second. It's not allowing me to do that. Dr. Sumner, see if you can get something here. All it's doing is it's just giving me your name and allowing me to pin your comments. So I'm not really sure why it's not allowing me to bring her on. Hey Marie. Okay. So anyways, if it will allow me to pull her on here in a minute, then I will try doing that. Otherwise, I'm just going to man your comments from the side here, and we'll just kind of go from there. So, Henry River Mill Village, such a cool location. I mean, so many different places to actually investigate, so many really cool stories to be able to, investigate. We were there for 5.5 hours, and that was nearly not enough time to look into everything that, we wanted to do. So what we did was we set up base camp there at the general store, and then set up some different stationary cameras. I'm going to try Dr. Sumner now. Let's see. No, up. Let's see, maybe I can. Okay, I think I can pull her up here. Bear with me just 1 second. Okay. I think, well, there we go. Okay, we're going to see if this works. So anyways, we set up at the general store, and then set up 14 different static cameras throughout the entire village. It looks like it says it's adding Dr. Sumner, so we're going to see if it'll pull her on here. Apparently the new Facebook only allows you to pull people on if you're both broadcasting from your phones. So anyways, we'll see what happens. So we got set up there at the company store. We were the only 2 people on the property, and other than the security guard, that was Adam, who was on the property. Let's see. he was sorry. I'm trying to add Dr. Sumner onto the broadcast here, and it says it's adding her, so I'm not really sure what that's doing. It's saying that she's not responding. I don't know, Christy. I was able to do it a second ago, and now you've got to okay it. So give that just a second and see if we can get her on. It says it's adding her. What that's. Okay, there we go. Hey, Dr. Sumner. I was able to do it a second ago. Hey, Dr. Sumner. And now,
can you hear me?
You've got. Yeah, we're getting some feedback.
We're getting some feedback.
Either you've got laptop or something.
Her on. It says it's adding her. Sorry.
Okay, it looks like the service is a little wonky there.
Hey, I was able to do it a second ago. Hey, Dr. Sumner.
Feedback. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work.
Okay, I don't know if it's her on. It says
I'm
it's
getting
adding
feedback.
her. Sorry, I'm getting feedback.
Service is a little wonky there. So, anyways, it looks like we're having some problems with that and might not be able to do it. Dr. Sumner is actually already in North Carolina at Henry River Mill Village and getting ready for our big event that's this coming weekend. We're actually going to be doing a after dark tour there on Friday and Saturday night where we're going to do a presentation about our investigation, and then we'll be taking 4 different groups of 15 throughout the village and giving them an after dark tour of some of the different locations. So, okay, we'll go ahead and start over here since we're having some technical issues and I can't bring her on. Thank you all for bearing with me through that. Maybe we can get her on at another time. Anyway, so we set 14 different stationary cameras up throughout the entire village. At one time, there were 30-something homes. Just throughout the time, fire was something that was bad in the village, and several homes were burned, as well as there at the general store. Excuse me, the mill. The mill actually burned in 1977. The village came into operation in 1907, and the operations at the mill stopped in 1977. So throughout the entire night that we were there, we set up the stationary cameras, and then we spent a lot of time in the company store. It seemed to be one of the most active. Especially there on the second floor. We did the Estes method, and if you guys have any questions, I'm going to scroll through on the side here, and we'll try to answer those. But we did the Estes method, which was really cool. I know a lot of you guys are familiar with that, and with that, sensory deprivation is, the most important thing, having those eyes covered and using the noise canceling headphones. So we actually set up, I was in the main room and Dr. Sumner was in the kind of speakeasy area there at the top of the stairs. And so, we had been told that, after hours, a lot of the guys used to go up there and they would play cards and, drink and that sort of thing. Women weren't allowed. And so we took several different trigger items. We took cards, we took whiskey, we took, just some different items that would work well with the time. And one of the things that Dr. Sumner did while we were doing the Estes method was she picked up some cards, and she also, asked some questions about, let's see, let me try bringing her back on again. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't want to lose time, but we'll try again. It's okay. It's not giving me the option to add. You don't have the add button. I don't know. I don't know. She's requesting to come on, and it's not giving me the option to add her. It's got an add beside of everybody's name, but yours, Dr. Sumner, I don't know what to. It's giving you the option to where you can request to be on. So if you want to try to request to be on here, it's not giving me the option to add you. So anyways, sorry, it's distracting trying to do. Okay, here we go. Let's see if it'll pull her on again.
Is it still doing the audio thing?
No, it sounds good.
Okay.
No, I still hear.
Is it your headphones?
No, my headphones.
Okay. Because I don't have anything on here, but if it's not going to work, Miranda, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I'll see it.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, can you hear okay? It doesn't sound like it's feedback now.
I'll end it. Thanks, Miranda. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Anyways, I apologize for that. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, so we'll continue on. So we did the ESSIS method, and I was hearing a lot of male voices on there, and Dr. Sumner picked up a card and picked up the 6. I didn't know that she was going to be doing that, as well as the other questions she was going to ask. So some of the responses we were able to get through that was really interesting. Another part of the investigation that was actually off the property that was pretty cool was at the bridge. There's a main road that runs right down past the village, and it's a very busy, very high trafficked road. But the story behind that area there is that there was a gentleman, we believe his name was Roy, that wrecked his vehicle on purpose there. And he's said to haunt under the bridge. He also is known to take women under the bridge and threaten to, some of these women, were possibly prostitutes. And it was said that, he would often threaten to throw them over the bridge. So that's why we took the more sort of aggressive stance with that. Whenever we were under there, we were trying to, normally when I go to different locations, we won't provoke or anything like that, but being that this entity was someone who was a little more negative toward women, and typically responds to that type of questioning and actions, we decided to take a more provocative approach. We also had Adam with us. Adam went with us into several different homes. Adam was the on-site security guard. He's also an off-duty police officer, and he went with us to several homes because the property is not fenced in, and because it is on that main road, you know, sometimes people will kind of sneak into the area. So he was actually there to see if he could, you know, to go in and make sure that there was nobody in the homes. You know, so, but now when we were actually in the general store, we, or the company store, he was actually not in that area. So all of the male voices that we got in there, we were able to account for because we, you know, we were the only females in that building. He was actually in the guard shack while we were in the company store, which was really interesting. Hey, Vicki. Hey, Barbara. Barbara says this place is awesome, and she was there last Halloween. Yes, that's actually what we did a presentation there for the Booze and Brews Festival last year, and that's where we actually met Barbara. Yes, Vicki, there was a lot of echo. I was trying to bring Dr. Sumner on, however, we were having a lot of technical issues and feedback. So again, I'm sorry for the slow start and the interruption and everything. You know, it's always kind of interesting trying to do these, and I was anticipating having her on, so really disappointed that I wasn't able to do that. You know, when you're sitting here kind of having a conversation, you know, and unable to make it work, it kind of busts your plans of what you intended to talk about. So again, if there's any questions about what we did, about the investigation, about any of the different locations, because there were so many homes, you know, we had 14 cameras, and so we tried to cover as many of those homes. As far as different stories that we know of, there was a gentleman who hung himself on the property. There was also a guy who was shot between two of the homes. He was a serviceman, and he was shot because he was having an affair with another guy's wife. And so we had a stationary camera outside in that area. You know, having these cameras outside is a little bit tricky, you know, because you do have a lot of wildlife. We did do a session down by the dam, because there is, you know, a big river, Henry River, that runs through there, and the dam, but there was too much noise contamination to really be able to tell a lot from that. We did a rod session as well as EVP down there, but we weren't able to get any voices down there. As far as residual activity, that place had a ton of it. From those cameras that we had set up, we were able to, in one home in particular, in the kitchen, and I know you guys saw, you know, saw that, we had a lot of activity in that area. And what was interesting about the residual activity that we got, it really fit the area of the house. You know, we got things, we felt like it was talking about food, you know, in the kitchen area. We also, in the attic of Billy's workshop, which is also Katniss's house. If you watched the first installment of the Hunger Games, they filmed District 12 there in the village, and they highlighted the company store as well as Billy's workshop, which was Katniss's house. And Katniss's house was very active. We had a static camera up in the attic, and we got a lot of knocks and bangs, and that's something that I'm going to be releasing at a later date. I mentioned it in one of the other Behind the Screams that we would be doing sort of a special session or special episode release called Through the Static, which is where we will be releasing more static cam footage when we set up. You know, it's just really hard to be at a location for 5-6 hours and have a bunch of static cameras put up and, you know, spend the time walking around investigating and be able to show everything that we got in you know, a reasonable 20 to 40 minutes. So we'll be releasing that probably in the next couple weeks. But we got some really cool activity in the attic of Billy's house. But I want to talk about that for a minute because there was a really cool sequence of activity that was going on there. So when we were down at the bridge, there was nobody on the property, period, when we were down at the bridge. And if you watch, when it's at the end of the video, you will actually hear sort of like a knock and a hey, and then 2 minutes later, the door opens. And what was really interesting about that is there are curtains hanging up in the house, and there was no wind blowing. So we had light wind at the start of the investigation, but when this was going on, there was no wind because you don't see any of the curtains or any of the sheets blowing inside, which we found to be pretty interesting. But the door opens, and then within, you know, about an hour and a half of that footage, and of course we chopped it down, but we capture an EVP saying something about what's going on outside. We capture the name, it says, "I'm Billy," and there was another EVP that we captured in that area. So that was really cool, one of the very active locations. Dr. Sumner says it was a fun and active night for sure. It definitely was. What was neat about this investigation is this was actually the first collaboration that I did with Soul Sisters Paranormal. We had actually just met for the first time and investigated this location. So it was a really cool location to tag team on because it was so big. And you know, basically, you know, we knew a few stories about a couple of the homes, you know, where the murder took place and the hanging and that sort of thing. But we really didn't know as far as any other stories about these homes. So it really created sort of an open slate to be able to, you know, go in, see what kind of names we got, see what type of activity there was. And that was really cool. One of the things I found that was also kind of neat after we were, after I was investigating, found this really neat book on Henry River Mill. And one of the names that I got during the Estes method was Fanny. And this book is just full of just, you know, great pictures and stories about the life at Henry River Mill Village. And I actually found, while I was looking through one of the pictures, there was a lady named Fanny Young, which was kind of neat. So it'd be interesting when we investigate again to follow up and see if that's potentially one of the names that we were getting some activity from. So it's always cool when we're able to match that up. Janet says the Billy voice was really loud. It was, and really clear. I mean, a lot of, like I said, a lot of the residual activity that we got there was really cool. A lot of the EVPs that we were getting while we were in the company store were actually some great disembodied voices, and we were hearing a lot of those in real time. We were hearing a lot of knocks and bangs, and it was just a really cool place to investigate. And I highly recommend, if you're into history, definitely check this location out because it's one that's just full of history and full of lots of really cool places to investigate because it is such a large property. Marie Gibbs Russell says there was a lot of great EVPs. Yeah, there were. You know, another thing that we did that I didn't get to show a lot of was we had a couple really good SLS camera sessions. And, you know, I like to try to keep the camera steady on a tripod in one spot so that it's not going and trying to remap every time you turn. The cool thing about the upstairs is it was wide open. It did have some pillars and columns, so there wasn't a lot of door frames or anything for it to map false positives on. But we played Foggy Mountain Breakdown, and again, we'll show this session at a later time. We just ran out of time, but we actually had 2 stick figures show up on there when we started playing the Flat and Scruggs song, and they were, it looked like they were tapping their hand and tapping their feet, so it was pretty neat. They came out right when we started playing the music, so we'll show that. But we had a couple real good SLS sessions. Peppy Purple's Eyes says, while I watched, I kept getting a feeling that a lady was with you the whole time. That's very possible. We did, feel like at several times, while we were investigating, we did get female's voice. One of my favorite EVPs that we got there was, and we did not hear this one in the moment, we heard it after we went back and reviewed, but we were up at the area where the men typically hang out after hours, and we were saying that we had come a long ways to see them, and just as clear as can be, we got this female voice that said to see me, and it sounded very excited. So that was one of my favorite ones, because she just seemed like she was so excited that we were there to see them. It's not an overly investigated location. I know that I know several investigators who have been and gotten some great evidence, but it's not one that's overly investigated, and it is cool if you have quite a few people, you can really spread out and cover a lot of areas. I'm looking forward to going to be investigating it again with both Soul Sisters, and I'm looking forward to investigating that again, and we're actually going to split up this time and do some different sessions in some different homes, which is going to be a lot of fun and really interesting to be in the homes at a different time, but do some of the same experiments and see if we're able to get some similar activity while we do that. Let's see, is there anybody that's coming this weekend to the After Dark flashlight tours? If you're coming, then definitely let us know. Like I said, there are going to be 4 tours. One tomorrow night at 8, and one it goes from 8 until 9:30, and then from 9:30 until 11, and then same thing on Saturday night. Does anyone else have any questions or anything about this one? Like I said, you could spend hours. Just in one home investigating. You could go multiple times and not investigate the same place twice. So, like I said, there's just so many different stories. The really interesting thing and cool thing about this place is that there was such a strong sense of community here. If you're familiar with some of these mill villages and everything, it was a self-sustaining area or self-sustaining town where they had their own currency known as Doogaloos. Everyone that was there, they stayed in that little area, and they were born there, they lived there, played, and died there. They even made their own moonshine and everything. So it was definitely self-sustaining, and everybody was really close, and they just there a lot of those communities like that had popped up that were centered around the mill. You know, the mill created the work, and the town created the worker pool, which was really cool. Janet says, now I want to go watch the Hunger Games movie again to see the house. Yeah, definitely check that out. I had seen the Hunger Games movies before I went there, but it's, you know, they actually do different Hunger Games tours there, where you know, they'll take you in and teach you to shoot a bow and arrow, and do some, you know, really cool things that are Hunger Games based there as well. And again, I apologize not being able to bring Dr. Sumner on here. Kind of threw me off. We had a whole dialogue going, and not being able to do that. So again, thank you guys for bearing with me as I muddle through this. Hey Jim, thank you for tuning in. You know, it's, you know, as far as the types of activity that we got there, let's see, Peppy Purple Eyes says, where do I get information? Would love to do a blind spirit box session. When you say information, do you mean information on the location, on the After Dark tours? If you reach out to me, I will put that, I'll send you that information after the broadcast here. Let's see, Barbara Jo Kennel says the Mill Village is worth a trip. She is a local. And Junior Walden says, have you ever investigated red ash in Caryville, Tennessee? Junior, actually I have, and red ash is a story all in and of itself that is pretty crazy, and we hope to actually do an episode on that location because the activity there is off the charts, and it's very bizarre. And yeah, red ash is crazy. Yeah, let's see here. Looking at the comments. Okay. So yeah. Anyways, we it was a very cool investigation, and you know, definitely one that I would recommend people to check out. If you missed the episode, go back, check it out. We will be releasing more information on it. Also, you know, shameless plug, go check out, if you like artwork and that sort of thing. I did draw the company store, and I do have prints of that available for purchase on my website. It's you know, so if you're interested in that, that's how I fund my travels and fund my web series. That is online as well, and I will have some of those at the event this weekend for sale, and then also as potentially a giveaway. So yes, Peppy Purple Eyes, please PM me when you're done, and I'll send you some information on that. But let's see. Janet says, if I was local, I'd go to all your events. How long is the tour that you give? Thank you, Janet. I appreciate that, and we really appreciate you guys sharing the episodes and everything. As far as the tours, they're going to run from 8 to 9:30 and 9:30 to 11. And so what we'll be doing is we'll actually be giving a presentation on what we do, myself as Ghost Biker, and the Soul Sisters will talk about their team and what they do and some of the different locations we've visited, and then we're going to talk specifically about the episode. We've got it broken down into the different pieces of evidence that we're going to talk about, and then the tour will actually take people throughout the village to the different homes where we investigated, and show, you know, show the different locations where we had different types of activity. Yes, let's see here. Again, sorry, I'm having to use my phone here to see. When we investigate again, I know that we've got some new tools that we're going to try while we're investigating. So looking forward to bringing that. We won't be able to go live while we're investigating. I know that Janet says, will we be investigating them as well or no? We won't be investigating on the After Dark tours. Those are strictly just the tours. At some point, we may be doing a public investigation there, but for right now, we won't be investigating those. But on Saturday night, myself and Soul Sisters Paranormal are actually going to do an overnight investigation on Saturday night. So it's going to be really neat to take what we learned from this one and try some different things, try some of the names we got, try some of the different things, and go from there. See if we get anything related or anything different. Marie Gibbs Russell says Old Mill Village in northern Pennsylvania is another very active place to go. You ladies need to come north. We definitely do. There are some really cool places in Pennsylvania that we're going to check out. There's actually here not too far from where I'm at in northeast Tennessee, there's a really cool place in southern Kentucky, Stearns. They're also a village, but they are coal mining. A company village there that was coal miners. This one was a textile mill, but very similar, but there for a different reason. They also had their own currency, and a lot of really interesting stories that have come out of that town as well. Junior, thank you so much for the compliment. I really appreciate that. I like to be able to come on here on Thursday nights just to talk about, the episodes that we released and answer any questions, kind of break down the video, that sort of thing. I get a lot of questions through the week and after I release it. And so, about the Estes method, about, the SLS camera, the rods, that sort of thing. And so I'm always happy to answer any questions or talk any further about the investigation because, again, we are there for such a long period of time, and putting it, trying to condense it down to a shorter time frame, where we're able to not overwhelm people. I like to keep the episodes 20 to 45 minutes. Anything longer than that can be kind of overwhelming, and people don't always have time to sit and watch. So, but we, some places we get a ton of stuff, and other times, we're more about the history and the story because, not every place you go is going to be active the night that you're there. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for, tuning in with me tonight and asking your questions. I love that. Janet says, have you ever been to Pennhurst Asylum? I have not. Wow, there's some great places on here. Broughton State Hospital tunnels. Let's see. There are a lot of places. Thank you guys. Any tips or anything? Junior says he wants to go to Waverly Hills so bad. I enjoyed Waverly Hills. I was there a year and a half ago. I was a little disappointed because, I got a lot of activity, but I felt like it was kind of hyped up and sort of overly investigated. But it is very cool, and I suggest go because it is definitely an interesting place to go and see, and very historical. And for me, it was just so overwhelming how large it is. But definitely check that out. For myself, I would suggest go when it's colder, because I've not had a lot of luck when it's hot, but it was definitely a fun investigation. Hey Michelle, good to see you. Thank you for popping on here. I know you guys could be watching the debate, and so I appreciate you hanging out with me while we're doing this. Is there any other questions or suggestions, or if there's anything you all would like to see us try when we investigate there this weekend, go ahead and put that in the comments, or send me a message. I always love when people send different techniques and different interesting things to try. That's always fun to do. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. Janet says, so the paranormal activity is less during the hot months. It depends. I hate to say that. For myself, at different locations, I have had better luck when it's cooler, and then also when it's very, very cold, especially places such as like Hell's Bar Dam. And again, I'm just talking from myself and my experiences. I've been there when it's been 20 degrees, and I've been there when it's 90 degrees. And when it was colder, I had a lot better luck. I was at Waverly Hills in March a year and a half ago, and got a lot of activity. I had some friends who were there in the middle of the summer, and it was so hot. They didn't get hardly anything. It was definitely much cooler when we were there. So, sometimes the weather plays a part. Sometimes I think it's our energy. The temperature affects us, and if we're not feeling it or not feeling good, I think that sometimes it plays off that as well. Jim says Jess is still waiting on your all's trip to Brushy. Absolutely, we need to get that on the books. Brushy is another one that I absolutely love investigating. I know there are several of my friends that I've seen on here that have some investigations lined up at Brushy coming up, which I'm looking forward to hearing the results and seeing what you guys get. Let's see, are there any other questions? I've got a few things. Like I said, this is coming up this weekend at Henry River Mill after dark. I'm actually also taking part in the Festival of the Unexplained, which is this weekend. And this is going to be really interesting, guys. My interview is pre-recorded, and it's going to air at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. It was going to be live, but because I'm traveling from North Carolina, I wasn't able to do it. This festival is out of the United Kingdom, and it has paranormal investigators from all over the world. So I'm very excited to be a part of this. Nick Groff, Johnny Hauser, the Ghost Finders, a lot of big names are taking part in this festival, and it's a 36-hour marathon that starts on Saturday and runs up through the night on Sunday. So my presentation is at 11 a.m. on on Saturday, and I'll have more information about that. So, as well as the entire schedule. So I hope you guys will, if you're not traveling to North Carolina, I hope you will tune into that, because that's something you can watch from the comfort of your own home. Junior Walden says, when using a recorder for EVPs, should I turn the volume all the way up or down low? It doesn't. I hope I'm understanding your question correctly. For me, I have multiple recorders running, and I always have a mobile recorder on me, and then I always have static recorders that I will drop in different locations where I drop my static cameras. And because a lot of the time activity will happen when you're not paying attention, when you're actually not investigating. Sometimes when we're just sitting there taking a break, having a snack or whatever, we'll get activity. But I'll use these noise cancelers and plugged in when I'm doing the Estes method. But I have another pair of headphones that if you plug it into your recorder, you can actually hear the recorder in what the recorder's hearing in real time. And so if you don't capture any disembodied voices, you can actually hear some of the EVPs in the moment through the headphones. So that's something that I like to do. And at that point, it doesn't, I've not really noticed a difference when it comes to the recorder. I just typically have it up all the way when I'm recording. Let's see, Michelle Floyd Strange says Chickamauga Battlefield Park. Absolutely, that is a location that fascinates me. I love Gettysburg, but I really love Chickamauga because, that was the second bloodiest battle in the Civil War, and it is, right in our backyards down in Chattanooga. So there's a lot of interesting history there. Especially Old Green Eyes. That's a really interesting one. The problem with the battlefield is that you can't investigate after hours. You've got to get special permission, and that's kind of hard to do sometimes. So I would like to investigate that, but we've been doing a lot of investigating during the day and during work hours. So, you never know. There may be something coming from there at another time. Jim says he wants to go back to the dam. Still not sure what I had going on with me at that place that night. Jim, that was a neat experience. Jim came to dam night back in, I believe that one was in June, I think. Him and Jess drove down, and they participated in the public hunt that we had there. And Jim had some things happen, and it was interesting. He had his name called over the spirit box, so that was, and it was inside of the tunnels at the dam, and that was definitely interesting. Let's see. You're welcome, Junior. Thank you for your question. Let's see if there's nothing else. And we've got about 10 more minutes, and then I'll hop off here. Like I said, I apologize for the slow, confusing start. Being paranormal investigators, we're no stranger to technical difficulties. Seems like there's always something that goes wrong during an investigation, so it would not be unusual for the technology during a live to not cooperate. So again, thank you guys for bearing with me. Thank you for watching the episode, and thank you guys for sharing and everything this season. We've got one episode left coming up this Tuesday night, and it's definitely an interesting episode. We always have a darker type episode each season, and this is definitely one. It's a darker location, and it is it's got a dark history, and so it's definitely it has a very interesting story to it as well. So that will be covered this Tuesday night, and then we will go live again next Thursday to talk about it and see what you think and any questions you guys have. So if there's nothing else, I'll give it a minute, see if there's any other questions on here. If there's nothing else, then we will be re-airing this on YouTube shortly. So that's why I was reading the questions out loud, because when we air this, they can't see the questions on there on YouTube. So I'll be doing it live as a premiere and answering any questions that they may have. But if there is nothing else, then I will say hope to maybe see you this weekend at North Carolina. And well, let's see. Peppy Purple Eyes asked if I've ever been to rugby. Yes, I have. I actually grew up 15 miles from Rugby and took piano lessons there. And I took piano lessons at Roslyn, and that house, it's now a private residence, so I don't think you can investigate it, but it's another one of those towns that has a lot of different houses in it with a lot of different activity. But the house of Roslyn that I had my piano lessons in, Miss Stagg was the lady who, sat with me while I played, and we would often hear what sounded like a horse carriage coming up through the driveway. It was a long gravel driveway. It was sort of a lollipop driveway along with a circle at the end, and it was nothing to be sitting there playing a song and to hear a horse-drawn carriage come up. And I remember one time in particular I stopped and she just kind of waved me on, and she was like, no, keep playing. It happens from time to time. And so, of course, being a young child and always being interested in the paranormal, I was very curious about it. But there was also a lady that was said to roam the halls crying. And so that was a cool location, but I know that there's a lot of different homes there that has a lot of really interesting stories and has their own hauntings in there. So definitely, yeah, I love Rugby, but I have not investigated it yet. It's something coming for a later time. But yeah, anyway, so if we don't see you in North Carolina this weekend, I hope you will tune in to the Festival of the Unexplained, and check out my presentation at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, the 25th, and also some of these other investigators that will start on Saturday morning. So if there's nothing else, then we'll call it a night, and I will see you guys back on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for the Season 3 finale of Ghost Biker Explorations. So thank you guys so much, and have a blessed night.